Hey folks, Mark Levin here. Now, before we dive in today's episode, I want to talk about something truly valuable, protecting your financial future with gold. It's called diversification. Now, for that, I only trust Advantage Gold. They're the real deal with 5-star service and a sterling reputation. So give them a call today. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. Trust me, you'll thank yourself in the future. Now let's get to the show. Results may vary. Consult with your financial professional.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Kamala Harris, the top prosecutor against the convicted felon. You see, ladies and gentlemen, the Democrat prosecutor Bragg, Soros guy, a Biden acting state judge, Merchan, gave the Democrats what they wanted to run on. And the media are all excited about it. They're perfectly fine with this. But much of America is not. Look at Kamala Harris. She will now get the nomination without a challenge. You want to know why? Because if they had actually had an open primary, if Joe Biden hadn't run for re-election in the primary process, she wouldn't be the nominee. That's why. They want Kamala Harris because they like the Biden-Harris policies. They want Kamala Harris because they want the extreme Marxist Islamist agenda. She's made it abundantly clear in the last 36 hours that she stands with the river to the sea crowd. She's made it very clear that she wouldn't meet with Netanyahu, the prime minister of the only Jewish state on the face of the earth that is surrounded and under attack by terrorists. She's a radical. That's why she didn't get the nomination. She's still a radical. And the media that lie to you all the time about Russia collusion and the Hunter laptop and about Biden's cognitive sharpness will lie to you and are lying to you again. Now, I've asked on the internet, how many cases has Kamala Harris actually prosecuted, that is, litigated herself at the trial level or the appellate level? I've asked. We know there's stalkers out there watching me on the internet, like over at Mediocrite, a lying bunch of prepubescent, low IQ, pathetic buffoons, but nonetheless, they don't have an answer. CNN doesn't have an answer. MSNBC doesn't have an answer. The New York Slimes, the Washington Compost, they don't have an answer. CBS, NBC, ABC, they don't have an answer. We're waiting for the Harris campaign to tell us how many. She was assistant DA in San Francisco, DA in San Francisco, Attorney General for the state of California. We're told she's a tough on-crime prosecutor, or maybe not. And I'm asking, well, what did she personally ever prosecute? What were the cases? We'd like to look at them. Maybe there's 1,000 of them. Good. We'd like to look at those too. So what are they? Other than being an assistant DA, she was elected DA of San Francisco. Very tough on crime city, as you well know. Okay, what cases? What cases did she litigate? She's a top prosecutor. As Attorney General for the state of California, what courtrooms did she walk into? What cases did she litigate at the trial or the appellate level? We want to know. We want to know about this female Effley Bailey. But we do know this, that when she oversaw prosecutions, her record is a disaster. That's right, a disaster. We look back. 5 times prosecutor Kamala Harris got the wrong guy. And she didn't give a damn. Elena Goodman. I believe this is the Washington Examiner. Kamala Harris has been facing criticism, and this is written a few years back, from fellow Democrats of her criminal justice record during her times as a top California prosecutor. During last month's Democratic debate, for example, Tulsi Gabbard slammed Harris for blocking DNA testing that could have exonerated death row inmate Kevin Cooper while she was DA of San Francisco. Cooper was convicted of murdering Douglas and Peggy Ryan, their 10-year-old daughter, and Jessica, and 11-year-old Christopher Hughes, a family friend of the Ryans, during a home invasion in the Chino Hills area in 1983. The past 15 years, his attorneys have been fighting for advanced testing of DNA evidence, which they claim could have exonerated their client, a move that was opposed by Harris while she was Attorney General of California. Last year, again, this is a few years old, after the case was publicized by the New York Times' Nick Kristof, who, of course, is all in her camp now, Harris backtracked and told the paper that she felt awful about this and now supports the testing, but did not explain what prompted her to change her opinion. The Cooper saga is not the only case where Harris has pitted herself against a culprit who claims to have been wrongfully convicted. Here are 5 other times where Harris has bucked against criminal justice reform advocates. Number 1, when her staff prosecuted a reality star who was framed by police. That's right, Kamala Harris was DA of San Francisco in February 2010 when 29-year-old Jamal Trulove, a former reality star and aspiring hip-hop artist, was convicted of murdering 28-year-old Sue Kuka based on the testimony of one witness. After Trulove was sentenced to 50 years in prison, Harris praised the brave eyewitness for the conviction, but failed to mention the woman had been paid over $60,000 by the prosecution and given new housing under the Witness Protection Program. An appeals court later overturned the verdict after finding that prosecutors working under Harris as the DA misrepresented the witness to the jury. Trulove was awarded a $13 million settlement from the city due to allegations of police misconduct, including manipulating the witness and fabricating evidence. I didn't hear this today on MSLSD or CNN. I didn't read it. A mediocreite. Well, you're hearing it here. Number 2, her office defended the sexual assault conviction of an electrician based on a technicality. Harris was Attorney General of California 2015 when her office fought to uphold a sexual assault conviction against a former electrician named George Gage. Gage, 79, had been found guilty of sexually abusing his ex-wife's daughter in 1999, and he was serving a 70-year sentence. Gage appealed, and a judge determined that prosecutors had withheld exculpatory evidence, including the accuser's medical records and a statement from her mother calling her a pathological liar. They withheld it from the jury. Harris's office successfully fought against a retrial on a procedural technicality, and Gage is still in prison as of the writing of this piece. Number 3, when she fought compensation for a wrongfully convicted gang shooter. In 2002, Rafael Madrigal was convicted of a drive-by gang shooting and the attempted murder of Ricardo Aguilera in East L.A. He was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. 7 years later, a federal judge tossed the conviction due to inadequate legal defense by Madrigal's attorney. The court found that Madrigal's lawyer failed to introduce exculpatory evidence, including several alibis. that said he was 35 miles away at work during the time of the attempted murder. Now, after his release from prison, he asked the California Victim Compensation Government Claims Board to compensate him $282,000 for the wrongful conviction. Kamala Harris, the state attorney general at the time, recommended the board deny his request, arguing he had not sufficiently proven his innocence. Number 4, when her office sought to retry a man who'd been set up by police in 1992, Camarade Conley was arrested for a drive-by gang shooting that killed 2 men in San Francisco. Excuse me. After the prosecution's key witness testified that 18-year-old Conley had privately confessed to the murder, Conley was convicted and sentenced to life in prison without parole. Although the witness denied under oath that he'd been compensated as part of the case, a subsequent investigation found that a detective had in fact paid the witness. The witness has also been given housing by the prosecution and placed in a witness protection program. In December 2010, a judge vacated Conley's conviction, citing voluminous evidence the witness had lied. Harris was serving as DA of San Francisco at the time, and her office initially sought to retry the case, according to reports. 1 month later, after she left to start her new role as California Attorney General, the San Francisco District Attorney's Office agreed not to retry Conley. He later received $3.5 million settlement from the city for wrongful conviction. These are just some examples. Number 5, when she fought to keep a misidentified neo-Nazi in prison after his case was tossed. In 1998, a neo-Nazi gang member named Daniel Larson was convicted of possession of a concealed weapon and sentenced to 27 years in prison. Now, police officers said they saw Larson throw a 6-inch knife used under a car, during a confrontation outside an L.A. bar. After the trial, 9 eyewitnesses, including a North Carolina cop, came forward to dispute that Larson had been the man holding the knife. A judge determined in 2010 that Larson's original attorney had failed to interview any witnesses at all and overturned the conviction. And despite the ruling, Harris, as state attorney general, blocked Larson's release for 2 years. And after Larson was finally let out, Harris appealed his release by arguing he missed a paperwork deadline. The great prosecutor. She's a tough prosecutor, the New York Times says today, up against a convicted felon. See how phony this is? Donald Trump, convicted felon? First of all, he's appealing. Secondly, that whole case was a Stalinist farce by the Democrat Party. So they do that to run on it. And then she's being built up as this great prosecutor. I've prosecuted many cases. I've seen his kind. First of all, it looks like you haven't prosecuted much at all. You've been the head of offices, but I want to dig into this. And I'm urging the media, help me. Let's find this stuff. Let's all read it together. And let the chips fall where they may. But so far, nothing. And yet those are 5 major cases. Then we have this. Not too old. Kamala Harris-backed Freedom Fund that put murderers, rapists back on streets, still up and running. A bail fund once backed by Vice President Kamala Harris during the 2020 presidential campaign that helped free violent criminals. Violent criminals is back in the spotlight, as the website appears to still be taking in donations. As of this Monday night, the website was still running and accepting payments. If you're able to, chip in now to the MN, that's Minnesota Freedom Fund, to help post bail for those protesting on the ground in Minnesota. Harris posted on X, then Twitter, back in 2020, urging people to donate to the fund during the 2020 campaign. Harris promoted the bail fund in June 2020 to help bail out Black Lives Matter rioters out of jail, but only a fraction of the more than $41 million actually went to freeing the rioters. Minnesota-based Fox 9 reported the fund spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to free an alleged knife murderer and a convicted rapist who was facing charges of sexual assault and kidnapping, among others. Another criminal, George Howard, 48, also reaped the benefits of the funds. He allegedly became involved in a road rage altercation on Interstate 94 entrance ramp before he shot another driver, according to Minnesota police. weeks after bailing out on domestic assault charges. It goes on. On August 24, he was charged and so forth. The Minnesota Freedom Fund tweeted Friday admitting its role in putting Howard back on the streets. And, of course, they put other thugs, criminals, and so forth on the streets. Kamala Harris backed the Freedom Fund that put these murderers and rapists back on the streets, and it's still up. Oh, she's a tough prosecutor. Alex Soros, who's been backing all these Soros prosecutors, said, let's unite around Kamala Harris. Wait a minute. What does he know that we don't know? I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
You know, folks, we're living in unprecedented times. And September 18th could be a watershed moment. With President Trump's sentencing approaching, we're facing potential political upheaval, which could create some dangerous market and economic chaos. That's where gold and diversification come in. Gold has always been one of the ultimate safe havens in times of turmoil. And when it comes to gold, I only trust one company. I've dealt with many. That's Advantage Gold. They're a 5-star American company that I recommend to everyone. They're the experts in helping Americans protect their money with gold and silver using existing retirement savings with zero fees. So call Advantage Gold today at 800-900-8000 and they'll send you a free gold investment kit to help you get started. Tell them Mark Levin sent you to see if you qualify for $1,000 in free silver. Don't wait until September 18th. It's already here, folks. Call 800-900-8000 for your free gold investment kit from Advantage Gold. That's 800-900-8000. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. Performance may vary. Always consult your financial tax professional. Newly released, Peter Navarro will be on the program in hour 3. He was part of the Biden-Harris gulag. Really outrageous what happened to him. Really disgusting. He will be here in hour 3. We're going to take a little bit of time with this. A remarkable piece in the New York Slimes. How these 10 Democrats would fare against Trump, rated by our columnists and writers. And they have Kamala Harris rating the worst. I don't think this is a head fake either. It's thorough. I've gone through it. And they're worried. Now, in the end, of course, they'll promote her. The headlines will promote her. The phony articles will promote her. The grotesque editorials will promote her and all the rest of it. But that said, there is a massive propaganda effort underway, coordinated with the Democrat Party and the Democrats in the media, one and the same, just different roles. Trying to convince you that she's inevitable, trying to convince you that she'll get the women vote, the youth vote, the black vote. Hold on a second. She's never been a electoral juggernaut, ever. And just because Schumer's winning himself. And just because Joe Scarborough's eyes are popping out of his head. Just because all the same people who've lied to you, all the same people who stole the election from the primary voters, all the same people who didn't want any challengers to Biden now don't want any challengers to Harris. These are not confident people. These are not confident people in the Democrat process, the primary process, the convention process. This is all effectively closed-door politics. It's not in the back room. We see it, but that's what it is. It's all old-time, iron-fisted, top-down, closed-door politics. And it's first Biden or nobody, and now it's Kamala Harris or nobody. And now you better rally around. But look at all the money she's getting. You know, all the billionaires are stepping up on the Democrat side. But they're part of the problem, aren't they? I'll be right back. Hi, this is Mark Levin, and I've got an urgent message that can't wait. September 18th is coming, and with it, President Trump's sentencing. We're staring down this barrel again of potential market chaos. The question isn't if there's going to be a fallout, but how much. In times of instability, many smart investors turn to gold as part of diversification. And when I think of gold, I think of Advantage Gold. These folks are true partners in helping Americans find financial stability. Advantage Gold's experts understand the connection between politics and economics, and they can navigate you through these crazy times using gold to help shield your hard-earned wealth. So call my trusted friends at Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000. 800-900-8000 for a free gold investment kit. If you wait until September 18th, it might be too late. 800-900-8000 for your free investment kit. Tell them Mark Levin sent you to see if you qualify for up to $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Performance may vary. Always consult your financial and tax professional.
Mark Levin, America's passionately cerebral voice. Talk with that voice now. 877-381-3811.
There's a lot to cover here this evening, ladies and gentlemen, as Kamala Harris truly is a horrendous candidate or potential president to our country, to the state of Israel, for our border, for our allies. Just a disaster. I want you to remember how radical she was. She was so radical on that debate stage in 2016. Medicare for all, defunding police, open borders, that she was literally running to the left of Bernie Sanders. And so there's this remarkable piece in the New York Slimes. Since President Biden agreed to step aside to make way for Kamala Harris at the top of the Democratic ticket, no other top Democrats have announced their candidacy. So this is what I mean. I'm sure there's a lot of Democrats out there who voted in the primary. Forget about these delegates who voted in the primary, said, you know what, if Biden wasn't going to be the guy, we sure as hell would have liked a choice, perhaps other than Kamala Harris. But they got no choice. This is literally being rammed down their throats. Many party leaders are coalescing behind Harris, writes the New York Times. But some veteran Democrats and many voters are still grappling with who would fare best against Donald Trump. We asked 8 opinion columnists and contributors to assess the field of potential contenders. Some of the people on our list have already endorsed Harris in a show of party unity. But the nomination has not been locked up yet, although it has. Some of the names on this list are long shots. Some could emerge as possible Democratic running mates. We asked the writers to give scores on 2 dimensions. For the first, on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 means the person would have no chance of beating Trump. 10 means he or she would crush him. For the second, 0 means the person would inspire no enthusiasm. 10 means people would love him or her. Kamala Harris. Harris has a feeble electoral track record. She struggled badly in 2020. And barely before then, barely won her first attorney general race in California. But she'll benefit from a likely unified Democratic establishment. She can forcefully press the case against Trump on abortion rights. It won't hurt that she'd been the nation's first female president and only the second non-white politician to occupy the Oval Office. Harris is the clear favorite to win the nomination and would allow the easiest transition, these are the columnists, to a new candidate. She has no demonstrated appeal to swing voters. No. And she cannot run away from the Biden-Harris record on inflation and immigration. Her best arguments are that she's not old and she's not Trump. Those might be enough. Here's another. As the sitting vice president, she's the only serious contender for the nomination. The party, it appears, is already falling in line. She's a stronger, more confident campaigner than you remember. If Democrats are united behind her coming out of the convention and enthusiasm for her is already palpable, then she will be formidable going into the fall. Another, she's got the energy of not very elderly, and she'd be competing in front of a nation that has long called for a not very elderly presidential option. Here's another, a mediocre politician, excuse me, from a deep blue state with low national approval ratings. She may find a way to win, but she would be nobody's top choice were she not the top choice of the president. Relief at Biden's exit will generate a lot of professed enthusiasm, but will it be fake? Excuse me, he says, but it will be fake. Another, Harris can bring a shell-shock party together quickly. She's superb in prosecuting the case against Trump. Other candidates may seem more electable in a vacuum, but as Harris would put it, we exist in the context of all in which we live and what came before us. They're mocking her. Anyone else would leave lasting intra-party animosities. Trump sees Harris as a threat. She can be bold. If Harris relentlessly argues you can't trust Donald Trump on abortion, Obamacare, tax cuts, jobs, and so, this abortion issue is interesting. They're basically saying, and Harris said it today, that Trump wants to eliminate abortion. Now, he said over and over again what his position is, but they don't want to run against his position. They want to run against their position projected onto him. This is the way it works. And so they look at Gretchen Whitmer. They look at Gavin Newsom, Raphael Warnock. I don't know who he's on anybody's list other than the yes list. Mark Kelly, Chris Murphy of Connecticut, for God's sakes, J.B. Pritzker, Andy Beshear of Kentucky, Wes Moore of Maryland. He's been a governor about 4 minutes. Josh Shapiro, Pennsylvania, same thing. So they look at all these people. And in the end, even with the New York Times columnists, she scores the worst. Think about that. That's pretty amazing. And we'll continue on this prosecutorial record. And I'm asking the media, most of which is hostile in the tank for the other side, nasty, stupid, uninformed, low IQ. I'm asking for them. Please help us. Please help us compile a list of the cases in which Kamala Harris actually personally prosecuted/litigated cases in a courtroom, in a trial, or when she was Attorney General of California in an appellate court. We would like to go through those cases, see her arguments, see how well she did. If she's going to be promoted as the tough prosecutor, I want to know what she's prosecuted. I'm not kidding. Now, Kamala Harris has decided as the president of the Senate, you know, she's still vice president, president of the Senate, one of her few duties. One is to trigger the 25th Amendment, which she refuses to do, so the party's rewarding her. The other is to sit as the president of the Senate, which she refuses to do in the speech that Netanyahu is going to give tomorrow. Now, what did Netanyahu do to deserve this? I'll tell you what he did. He's standing up for his country. Kamala Harris is a radical extremist when it comes to her hate for the state of Israel. Her stepdaughter is a Hamas supporter. That is the daughter of her quote-unquote Jewish husband, who is an ethnic Jew. He's certainly not a religious Jew. Now, all that said, she's seeking desperately the river to the sea vote in Michigan. She's all in. And there was a piece out today that foreign policy will change completely, that she will even be more aggressively anti-Israel than the Biden regime and Tony Blinken, Soros's hand-picked Secretary of State. I want you to hear what Speaker Johnson said about the Vice President of the United States, that is, the President of the Senate, who's supposed to be sitting in her chair, boycotting Benjamin Netanyahu. And by the way, there's an insurrection taking place on Capitol Hill. In advance of Netanyahu's speech, there'll be an insurrection effort again tomorrow. Before, during, and after his speech, the riot gear is in place. The riot fences are in place. So here we have it again. The Democrat Party militia that supports Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, hates the Jews in Israel, and supports and embraces the Islamists in their own party and in the streets. They are the ones who are obstructing. They are the ones, and they always do. Here's Speaker Johnson. He's a good man. Cut 20. Go.
I'm happy to welcome Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for what will be his fourth address to a joint session of Congress. He will set the record, surpassing Winston Churchill as the foreign leader who has addressed Congress the most times, because we live in historic moments and because his testimony directly to Congress is so important with regard to what's happening in Israel right now. 120 hostages languish in tunnels deep in the land over there in Gaza built by Hamas. These tunnels have been, and that includes, of course, 8 Americans, and we cannot forget that. Our two nations are united in our common cause to bring the hostages home, and we are united to stand against our common enemies. As Iran and its proxies, including Hezbollah and the Houthis, have become increasingly hostile, they attack Israelis in the north and in Tel Aviv, we have to be clear that Israel is not alone. It has never been more important than it is right now for us to stand with our closest ally in the Middle East and our traditional partner in all these things. And it is outrageous to me and inexcusable that, as the leader mentioned, that Kamala Harris is boycotting this joint session. This is an historic moment. It's an important moment for the country for all the reasons we've said. The gravity of the situation cannot be overstated. And yet, Kamala Harris will abandon her seat. As you all know, as the vice president and as serving as the president of the Senate, she is supposed to be seated next to me at the rostrum. She will not be there because she refuses to attend. She needs to be held accountable for that, and she needs to be asked very searing questions about why. They went down the roster to find out who else would sit in the seat. Senator Patty Murray declined the opportunity as well. She will also boycott the event, skip the speech. They landed on Senator Cardin, who is retiring from the Senate, so has little political risk. The idea that they're making political calculations when our ally is in such dire straits, fighting for its very survival and fighting back against the horrific attack in October is unconscionable to us.
And can you imagine if she's president? Now, the media keep playing up, oh, her husband will be the first Jewish first lady, or something like that. All about creating images, impressions. First Jewish, first man or first lady. And yet she's made it abundantly clear she has no intention of supporting the Jewish state. She may give it some mouthpiece stuff. She spoke the other week. She was enthusiastic. She was celebrating. She said, this is the way we do with the protests in the streets that took place. Not the extremists. They were all extremists. There were Jews running for their lives. And I didn't hear the Jewish husband speak out. I didn't hear the Jewish husband condemn what was taking place. Did you? Did anybody? No. I didn't hear the Jewish husband's wife, the vice president, say a hell of a lot, did you? No, you didn't. But then again, she fits in perfectly with the Hamas-supporting media and the Hamas wing of the Democrat Party, doesn't she? And this is one of the reasons why I think it's very, very important. We're going to have to go around, under, and over the Al Jazeera Pravda media. But I think this is one of the reasons, among many, that she's not going to have this great, easy race, despite billions and billions of dollars in free, state-run, Marxist, Islamist media from the usual culprits who stole the election from the Democrat Party voters in the primaries and prevented any competition against Kamala Harris, who's never received a single vote for President of the United States. Not one. Here's Harry Enton on CNN today, their political data polling guru. He says it'll be very hard for Kamala to beat Trump. This month is the craziest month in political history. In other words, as Trump's chief pollster, or one of his pollsters, is saying, she's going to get a jump. But that's what it is. It's a jump. Now remember, we don't rely on polls here. We got to fight like hell. But I don't want you to be totally dispirited by all the propaganda that's being pushed into your homes through TV. Cut 19, go.
I can't remember a time where we've been through something like this.
This has been the craziest month in American politics that I can possibly recall. It was less than a month ago that Joe Biden and Donald Trump were debating in the CNN debate.
Less than a month.
Less than a month. We had a failed assassination attempt. We had a president literally saying, no, I'm not going to run for re-election less than a month before the Democratic National Convention. But here is the thing, Sarah Seidner, for all of the excitement that Democrats have over Kamala Harris, it is going to be difficult to beat Donald Trump, and I want to give you an understanding of why. Let's take a look here just first at the favorable views of Donald Trump. We know that Donald Trump has historically been unpopular. But take a look now. After the Republican National Convention, in the ABC News Ipsos poll, he recorded his highest ever favorable rating at 40%. That's not a one-off. Take a look at the Quinnipiac University poll, 46%. That's the highest ever in that pollster. The fact is, Donald Trump is more popular now than he ever has been before. So yes, Democrats can make this switcheroo, but they're still going to have to beat Donald Trump, a Donald Trump who is stronger, Sarah, than he has ever been before.
All right, America, we'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
You know, folks, we're living in unprecedented times. That September 18th could be a watershed moment. With President Trump's sentencing approaching, we're facing potential political upheaval, which could create some dangerous market and economic chaos. That's where gold and diversification come in. Gold has always been one of the ultimate safe havens in times of turmoil. And when it comes to gold, I only trust one company. I've dealt with many. That's Advantage Gold. They're a 5-star American company that I recommend to everyone. They're the experts in helping Americans protect their money with gold and silver using existing retirement savings with zero fees. So call Advantage Gold today at 800-900-8000 and they'll send you a free gold investment kit to help you get started. Tell them Mark Levin sent you to see if you qualify for $1,000 in free silver. Don't wait until September 18th. It's already here, folks. Call 800-900-8000 for your free gold investment kit from Advantage Gold. That's 800-900-8000. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. Performance may vary. Always consult your financial tax professional. Another poll, Harris's favorable rating among Americans, 40%, is slightly higher than Biden's 37%, slightly lower than Trump's 43%. Just 35% of Americans approve of the job she's doing as vice president, which is roughly as bad as Biden's rating, 37%, a new low, and significantly worse than his predecessor, at least in retrospect, that is Trump. Looking back, slightly more Americans now approve 47% than disapprove 46% of how Trump handled the presidency. It's worth noting, they write, that the share of Americans who disapprove of the job Harris is doing, 48%, isn't in Biden territory yet. Why? Because 16% of them remain unsure what to think about her performance in office. So the Democrat Party doesn't want primaries, none that last, of course. Doesn't even want so-called mini primaries. Now that, of course, is a lie. It's a phony title, but they don't even want to go through the motions anymore. They're telling you now, it's her. So she won't even be tested through any primary process or any convention process because they are afraid. That's why. That's why. I want to remind you, as I will every program, if you want to listen to us on our podcast, or you want to listen to us independently, go to marklevinshow.com. That's MarkLevin show.com. Click on the audio rewind and select your favorite platform, or search Mark Levin Show on your favorite podcast platform. We also have a YouTube channel. You now can find all my full podcasts, including our current one, interviews, specials, on YouTube. And the podcast is, in fact, the radio show. Or go to youtube.com at Mark Levin Show, or search Mark Levin Show in YouTube. I urge you to go ahead and lock that down. I'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. This drew my attention, a headline at USA Today. Internet warns J.D. Vance. I don't know what that means. Internet warns? Just means a bunch of people who comment, who sit around on the internet. After video resurfaces implying Kamala Harris is a childless cat lady. The hell is a childless cat lady? I don't even know what that means. But here now, USA Today goes on the internet, cherry picks a few people, and says J.D. Vance is warned This is a way of attacking J.D. Vance. Don't you imply that she's a childless cat lady. Tell me, did they ever go on the internet and say, the internet warns, don't call Trump Hitler? Did they ever do that? No. No. So here it starts. Matter of fact, Mr. Producer, we're going to go to cut 5 first. Jen Psaki. Why is Jen Psaki still on TV? Why? A complete, out-of-the-closet, moronic hack who lied to the American people about her former boss, lied when she was his first spokes idiot, lied while she was on MSLSD, and there she is. You see, there's no accountability, none. None. They just move on. Move on to the next group of lies. But here she is. And get ready, America. I talked about this yesterday. I posted about it. It got Dan Abrams very upset. He's the founder of this thing called Mediaite, which is a truly disgusting and pathetic site with some of the dumbest, prepubescent, low IQ morons who give their opinions. They've accomplished nothing. Even this guy, Kobe Hall, what did he do before? I don't know. He run a camera? I don't know. Oh, he was a TV producer of sorts. Genius. Another Trump hater. That whole site is about dehumanizing Trump, even after the assassination. Dan Abrams must be proud, as he is of his cable TV shows on the law and the courts, the Jerry Springer of cable TV. There he is on News Nation, because God knows everybody wants to know what Dan Abrams thinks about the news. He was a legal analyst. Maybe he still is over there at ABC, but maybe they've improved their hiring practices. I don't know. But anyway, here's Jen Psaki, and here it goes with Rachel Madcow. Cut 5, go.
It's not always easy to execute, but they're doing it.
No question about it. I mean, we've been talking a little bit tonight about just what's coming her way, which is sexism, misogyny, racism.
Right, that's enough. That's enough. They never talk about black women, Hispanic women, Asian women who are conservatives, who are Republicans, who support Trump this way. Ever. Ever. They trashed Senator Britt after she gave her response to Biden's speech. Trashed her. They trashed Sarah Palin when she was the vice presidential nominee. Just trashed the hell out of her. They all but trashed Melania Trump, probably the most beautiful first lady in American history. Couldn't even wind up in the front pages of fashion magazines. They trash conservative women all the time. They trash conservative minorities all the time. But watch what's coming. Don't you dare question Kamala. Don't question her genitalia. Don't question her race. Who's questioning her race and genitalia? You guys keep running on race and genitalia. That's all you know. Race, genitalia, and abortion. That's what you keep running on. You're like hung up on everything that's below the waist and above the knees. That's it. You're hung up. Democrat Party's always been hung up on race. Yes, it's coming. Get ready. Anybody who dares to challenge the great Kamala, oh yeah, you're a racist, you're a misogynist, you're a sexist. That's right. We over here at MSNBC, who covered up for Joe Biden, who was in fact a racist, misogynist, and a sexist. The same people who have lied to you over and over and over again about the laptop, about collusion, lied to you about Trump's crimes. He's a convicted felon thanks to Bragg and Merchan. Oh, we'll run on that one. These are lowlives. That's what they are. It's their party that stands with Hamas in the streets. That's right. Hamas in the streets. The extermination of the Jews. It's their party leadership that has shown nothing but contempt for the Jewish leader of the Jewish state, Netanyahu, who they seek to dehumanize. They've learned nothing. Nothing. You should be furious that they've lied to you all these years about Biden. You knew it, but they kept lying to you. And you should be furious that they're lying to you now about Kamala Harris like she's some great accomplished politician. Some great accomplished prosecutor, accomplished vice president. No, she's not. Regardless of her race and genitalia. She's a failed whatever she's ever done. It's the truth. Here we have Maxine Waters. Why is she on MSNBC? She's one of the leading dehumanizers. I tell you, it'd be over in a day, 2, 3. They're back to their old tricks. I'm not going to play it because Maxine's too stupid for the room. Then we have Lucy McBath, Democrat of Georgia. Kamala Harris can stand up to the MAGA extremist rhetoric. Oh, okay. Seth Moulton of Massachusetts, MSNBC. She can separate herself from Biden. Maybe she's better on the border. No, she's not. Ladies and gentlemen, San Francisco has been a sanctuary city. California is a sanctuary state. She was all in. All in. And then there's Chuck Schumer, the sleaziest of the sleaze. He is. In a city that's filled with sleazeballs, he's the biggest sleazeball of them all. Now, the press conference today, there he is standing with Hakeem Jeffries, and he's davening. He's so excited. He's the spittle's coming down his lips. He's got things feeling up his leg, down his leg. Excuse me. I think you have an issue, period, and it's not with your legs. Listen to this. Cut 9, go.
So now that the process is played out,
What
from
process?
the grassroots bottom up, we are here today.
All right, stop. The process is played up from the grassroots to the bottom up, America. I want to ask you Democrats out there, exactly what role are you playing in this? Exactly how were you consulted, or did you consult on the selection of Kamala Harris, whether you like her or not? Do we all have to pretend that there was some democratic process in play to create this? Is that the game? We have to pretend that this is bottom up, middle out, when it's iron fist, top down? Which one of you Democrats out there had a role, had a say? Which one of you was consulted? None of you. You're just watching like the rest of us. Go ahead.
Support behind Vice President Kamala Harris. I'm clapping. You don't have to.
Nobody clapped. Nobody. And standing next to Schumer is Hakeem Jeffries, who stood with Biden up to like 3 minutes ago. Now they're all smiling. What does Hakeem have to say? I'm sure it's utterly and completely genius. Cut 10, go.
President Joe Biden has made the selfless decision.
He made a selfless decision. He fought like a rabid dog. He tried to hold on with his fingernails. You guys pushed him out. He didn't make a selfless decision. He's been in hiding until, I guess, tomorrow night when he gives a speech here at 8 p.m. Eastern, and we will carry it live on the Mark Levin radio network. That's right. We'll carry it live. Selfless decision. Joe Biden made. Pushed, and the leaks and the attack. They were brutalizing this guy, ripping him from one side to the other. Chuck Todd out there, how selfish he is. He should never have run. Jake Tapper letting him have it. I mean, folks, look how they lie. Look how they genuflect. They just figure people have short memories, and who's going to stop them anyway? There's absolutely no accountability for their propaganda, none whatsoever. The media corporations that own these platforms, they don't do a damn thing. It's all fine by them. Anyway, go ahead.
To pass the torch to Vice President Kamala Harris.
You're not supposed to be passing a torch to anybody. You're supposed to have a primary, and after that, at least fall back on an open convention. You're not passing a torch. You're imposing your will. Imposing your will. By the way, if Donald Trump said pass the torch, they'd say, what is he, a Klansman, huh? What is that? They're the ones with the torches. You know what I mean? I don't know. Is Hakeem? No, I guess not. Go ahead.
Who is ready, willing, and able.
Ready, willing, and able? She can't wait. She's been working the Congress, working the media. She's been working with the best of them out there, stabbing Joe Biden in the back. They've run out of knives in Washington, D.C. They're all on Joe Biden's back. That's right. They'll walk over their mothers, their grandmothers, their children. It doesn't matter. These people are power hungry to the core. And they have said, passing the torch to Kamala Harris. What is this, the old Soviet Union? What is this, communist China? Venezuela? Cuba? We're passing the torch on it. Okay. Everybody applaud. Okay. Very good. Oh, she's the best of the best. Can she prove it in a primary or at least in a convention? No. Unchallenged. I want you to think about this. The putative Democrat nominee for president of the United States never ran for president of the United States. Even the first time around, when she put her foot in the water, she immediately left. She didn't really effectively run. That's how bad she was. Now she didn't run for president. She's hanging on to Joe Biden's coattails. She's lying about his cognitive abilities, lying and lying and lying again. And then they say, we're handing it to you. We're going to steal the election, steal the delegates, use our rules, impose our will. Now you're the candidate. No challenges at any convention. We don't want a messy convention. We don't want a messy selection process. We didn't want a messy primary. We don't want anything messy. Who has selected Kamala Harris? A relative handful of Washington, D.C. Democrats and their media have selected Kamala Harris. Now they go through the motions like they do in communist China and other regimes. They'll have a vote. They'll have confetti. They'll have speeches that she's the best thing to ever walk on the face of the earth. But she's being handed this. She didn't earn it. That's the bottom line. And yet, listen to this clown, Hakeem Jeffries. Go.
Us into the future. Kamala Harris and her candidacy has excited and energized the House Democratic Caucus, the Democratic Party, and the nation.
No, it hasn't.
Vice President Harris has...
On what basis has it energized the nation? She'll get a bump. So what? Energize the nation? You know, she's running on abortion on demand and says Trump wants to take your right to abortion away. Trump has said time and again, no, I don't. But on the other hand, I'm not a radical extremist who believes in abortion right to the end when you're actually killing a baby. Ooh, look at that. I believe in parental notification. They don't. But they don't care. They just keep lying to you and lying. They're not running a campaign on actual issues. They're running a campaign on propaganda. Go ahead.
The nomination.
She's earned the nomination. From whom? From the Democrat Party ruling class elite. You Democrats had no say whatsoever. Zero on who your presidential nominee will be. It's not the guy you voted for. They're telling you it's going to be Harris because they've united around her, not you. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
You've heard me say for a long time that cell phone service with Pure Talk can be about half the cost of Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile. You hear just $20 a month for unlimited talk, text, plenty of data, and you might be thinking, well, what's the catch? There's no way Pure Talk can offer a cell phone service that cheap. I say, just ask the thousands and thousands of my other listeners who've already switched. They're loving that they're on America's most dependable 5G network. They love Pure Talk's U.S. customer service and their selection of premium phones. So don't wait any longer. It's time to start supporting companies that share our values, like creating American jobs and supporting our veterans. It's time to switch your cell phone service to Pure Talk. Plus, with no contract and 30-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose. Go to puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin, and you'll save 50% off your first month. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin to start saving now on your cell phone plan. By the way, the group CARE, which is a Hamas front group, we know this from FBI wiretaps. Many years ago, CARE was formed to be the front for Hamas in the United States of America. It has very close ties to Democrats in Congress, Democrats in the Biden-Harris, or should I say Harris-Biden regime. It's come out today and it's condemned the ZOA, Zionists of America organization, which is a patriotic American organization, which is a group that's in support of the existence of the State of Israel, which apparently makes it controversial. Unlike CARE, which wants the overthrow of the United States, which is an Islamist organization, a vile organization, and is, again, embraced by the Democrat Party and especially the Hamas wing of the Democrat Party. And so you see ZOA, among others, have pointed out that Kamala Harris, the things she has said since October 7th, the things she has said in support of the River to the Sea crowd since October 7th, her lack of an aggressive stance against anti-Semitism, very few speeches. She likes to talk about abortion all the time, because those who are aborted don't have a voice, so she just keeps pounding the hell out of them. Innocent little babies. Okay, great. So CARE attacks ZOA. I am more than happy to have the executive director of CARE come on this program, but he better be damn well ready. This is a public offer. You better be ready, pal. I have questions that I have had for 20 damn years. Opening your books, see who your donors are, making available your communications. You're a non-profit organization. Everything should be public. Every damn thing. The enemy within has a home within the Democrat Party. So my point is this group CARE came to the defense of Kamala Harris aggressively. Jumped into the politics of it. Aggressively defending Kamala Harris. What do they know, ladies and gentlemen? What do they know about Kamala Harris? But don't worry. She's got a Jewish husband. Oh, you mean like Bernie Sanders? Oh, yeah. She's got a Jewish husband. And a Jewish stepdaughter who's taken the side of Hamas. Fantastic. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is an anti-Semite. Well, he has Jewish grandchildren, a Jewish daughter, a Jewish son-in-law. He's got Jewish friends. He's got people around him, developers, attorneys, and Jewish people all over the place. No. That doesn't account for a damn thing. Well, what about his actions? He defends Israel. He's going to see Benjamin Netanyahu. He's been invited down to Mar-a-Lago. What about it? The Abraham Accords and all the things he did for the state of Israel and against the terrorists, the Palestinian terrorists. That doesn't count for anything. You've heard me say for a long time that cell phone service with Pure Talk can be about half the cost of Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile. You hear just $20 a month for unlimited talk, text, plenty of data, and you might be thinking, well, what's the catch? There's no way Pure Talk can offer a cell phone service that cheap. I say, just ask the thousands and thousands of my other listeners who've already switched. They're loving that they're on America's most dependable 5G network. They love Pure Talk's U.S. customer service and their selection of premium phones. So don't wait any longer. It's time to start supporting companies that share our values, like creating American jobs and supporting our veterans. It's time to switch your cell phone service to Pure Talk. Plus, with no contract and 30-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose. Go to puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin, and you'll save 50% off your first month. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin to start saving now on your cell phone plan.
The voice of sanity in an insane world. The Mark Levin Show. Call him now at 877-381-3811.
There was an interview with Elon Musk. Elon Musk, to me, is a hero. You know, there's billionaires and they're billionaires. They're billionaires who are self-serving, self-promoting. They're billionaires who really don't contribute to patriotism, to the future of the country. They'll play both sides. They'll play both parties. Elon Musk isn't that way. That's why he's probably the richest man on earth. He's not just a billionaire. He's 100 billionaire. But he's made a difference in his life, not just for himself, but for the country. He doesn't play both sides. You don't play both sides when everything's at stake. And here he is with an interview at the Daily Wire. We just found this. I was unaware of it originally. He's become, as you can tell, much more conservative and libertarian, much more of a Republican than a Democrat. He has no stomach for playing both sides anymore, as many billionaires do. Let's take a little listen. Cut 15, go.
So you've obviously decided to lay your efforts down on the side of the Trump administration in the forthcoming election, and so
I think it's really, I think we need a change of administration. I think many years ago I think probably the Democratic Party was the party of meritocracy and of personal freedom.
Yeah.
They used to be the free speech party.
Yeah.
And these days they seem to be the censorship party under the guise of hate speech.
Yeah.
So weirdly, in my view, the Republican Party is actually the party of that's the meritocracy party, because the Democrats are also promoting DEI, which is really just another form of racism and sexism.
It's the most pernicious form, I think, actually.
Right. So it's anti-meritocratic. DEI is fundamentally anti-meritocratic. So then
it insists on dividing people by groups.
Right.
As the primary, what would you say, conceptual distinction between individuals?
Yes.
Race,
in fact,
ethnicity, sex.
I think the Democratic Party is stoking division.
I think the evidence for that's clear. All of this group identity nonsense has made things much more. I can see it in Toronto. When my kids grew up in Toronto downtown, I would say they were race, ethnicity, and gender blind.
Right.
Seriously.
Yeah.
They had an unbelievably diverse range of friends, and no one cared.
Sure.
And even in Toronto, that started to shift around with this emphasis on group division. It's a really ugly thing to see. So, yeah, not good. Not good.
Yeah, so my view is that at this point in the United States, the Republican Party is more in line with a meritocracy and with personal freedom.
Mm-hmm. Cut 16, go.
I think there's something to be said that America needs a strong leader, and that we have the perception of strength. Now, you have to admire that Trump, after getting shot with blood streaming down his face, it could have been a second shooter, who knows? Nonetheless, was fist pumping, fight. After being shot.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is not.
He's an ornery bastard, and he's funny too.
Yes, and he's brave. He has courage. This is instinctual courage. It's not calculated. It's not some arranged event. It's in the moment.
Well, you could see that then, because that was not a time when you're going to...
You see true courage in the moment.
Absolutely.
And if you want a leader who's going to deal with some very, very tough cookies out there, who's going to, deal with a Putin or Kim Jong-un or,
China.
Yeah, China.
By the way, I'll tell you what cracks me up is when a host keeps interrupting the guest and putting the meaning well. Just let him talk. Just let him talk. He'll figure it out. He knows how to say what he wants to say. Yeah, it's not a criticism. It's just as a listener. Go ahead.
They'll think twice about messing with Trump.
Yeah.
They'll think twice.
Okay.
Well, they think twice about messing with Kamala. Folks, what a disaster. What a disaster. She will be an absolute disaster. The Biden administration was run by ideologues. Kamala Harris is an ideologue. She doesn't need to be run by anything. She's also quite stupid. She just is. She just is. How do I know? I see it. I hear it. And so do most Democrats. Most Democrats now in Washington, the ruling class Democrat elites, in Hollywood, in sports, these are the elites. These are the Democrat elites. The average guy, number one, probably knows very little about Kamala Harris. And number two, what they know is not inspiring. Now, she's going to run on a false abortion platform that Donald Trump wants to take abortion away from you. Donald Trump is taking heat because he says, no, we're not going to have a national law that does those things. And the Supreme Court decision in Dobbs, I thought she was a lawyer, makes it impossible for a president or a party to do that anyway. It's not possible. So what is she going to run on? She's a prosecutor. He's a convict. So they have their Soros prosecutor, their Biden judge. They got what they wanted in the most horrendous case the nation has ever seen in terms of the Stalinist tactics and practices in violation of the First, Second, Fourth, Fifth, Sixth, and Eighth Amendments, not to mention the 14th, the whole damn slew of them. It will be overturned one way or another. It won't stand, but they have their issue. And so they should be rewarded with that. The tough prosecutor. She was not a tough prosecutor. Number one, I can't find where she ever entered a courtroom. But I'm asking the media to help us. I'm asking her supporters. I'm asking the DNC, the Kamala Harris campaign, provide us with a list of the cases she personally litigated. We want to read them. I want to talk about them on the air. And if she was a fantastic prosecutor, well, we'll find out. But the fact that you run an office doesn't make you a prosecutor, an extraordinary prosecutor. But if it does, well, it cuts the other way, too. And I gave you a number of cases where she purposely, her office did, I guess that's her, hid evidence, didn't reveal information to the judge and jury, didn't give a defendant due process. Around 1,500 cases of convictions for marijuana use. First time. So what do the media do with this? They'll spin it. Her base doesn't want to hear that she was throwing people in jail for using marijuana. Oh, you must be a racist and a misogynist and a sexist, so that'll come. You don't like strong women. I just heard that one. I don't like strong women. I'm surrounded by strong women who have intelligence, who have grace and class, and know how to speak. So that's not it. I could say to her, you don't like being surrounded by strong men. Look at that nebbish husband of yours. What a joke. What a joke. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
You've heard me say for a long time that cell phone service with Pure Talk can be about half the cost of Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile. You hear just $20 a month for unlimited talk, text, plenty of data, and you might be thinking, well, what's the catch? There's no way Pure Talk can offer a cell phone service that cheap. I say, just ask the thousands and thousands of my other listeners who've already switched. They're loving that they're on America's most dependable 5G network. They love Pure Talk's U.S. customer service and their selection of premium phones. So don't wait any longer. It's time to start supporting companies that share our values, like creating American jobs and supporting our veterans. It's time to switch your cell phone service to Pure Talk. Plus, with no contract and 30-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose. Go to puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/LEVIN, and you'll save 50% off your first month. Again, that's puretalk.com/LEVIN to start saving now on your cell phone plan. I'll make this big announcement now. I don't even know if I'm supposed to, but who cares? At the end of next month, I will be doing a very significant interview with President Trump, a very long-form interview. I was asked to come down there and conduct it, and I will. I do this every few years. As President Trump says, we have great chemistry, he and I, and the way I interview somebody who's not a hostile, but somebody we actually want to hear from, is I ask them a question and I let them finish the answer. And then I follow up because I'm listening very, very carefully to what they're saying. Not to trick them, but to try and clarify or to expand or whatever, and allow them to do it themselves. And President Trump appreciates that a lot. So I will be doing that at the end of August. It'll be a long-form interview. It'll cover a significant period of time and all kinds of subjects. And we always enjoy it. And he loves my family. He really appreciates my wife, Julie, and the work she did on the campaign, and very much appreciates what we do here on his behalf. He loves the fact that we're on the radio. He loves the fact that we have 14.5 million listeners each week. He loves the fact that we're on Fox and Blaze. And he's very appreciative of that. As am I, by the way. As am I. Here's the president on Fox yesterday. He said something that's very interesting. Cut 11, go.
So listen, there have been a lot of criticisms about if the White House was transparent enough about Biden's health in the months leading up to the debate. But now calls have gone further.
You know what? I made a mistake. Not cut 11. I meant, Mr. Producer, cut 17. Cut 17. Go.
Well, they wanted to put me on a stretcher. They had a stretcher, and they wanted to put me on a stretcher. And I said, I'm not going on a stretcher, because I just felt it was the ear. And there was a lot of blood coming. I don't know if you've heard this, but the ear causes, they say, the most in the body. You get hit in the ear. Better than just about any other place in one way, but in another way it bleeds more. And there was a lot of blood, but I understood. They thought I was hit elsewhere. They thought I was hit actually in this area. And I wasn't. I said, I'm telling you, I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm going to get up. I want to get up. I'm not going to be taken out on a stretcher. We had a little argument. Well, I have 6 guys lying on top of me. I mean, I had some big guys on top of me. Yeah. The strong guys, too. I can tell you that by the wrist. The wrist had a little work on it. And brave guys, because they ran onto that stage very quickly. I was down for the most part, because when I looked at my hand, I knew it was something very serious. I put my hand up, I looked at it, it had blood all over it. But I had a lot of big, strong humans on top of me. And they were very brave humans, because they were running into fire, and he kept going. He probably thought he hit, but it hit the ear. And when I saw that, I got down pretty quickly, I think. I also think people were starting to shout. It's one of the reasons I was able to go down so fast, because it almost is amazing that move of checking here and going almost immediately down. I think so. Probably people were shouting at the same time. Who knows? It was bedlam.
All right, Mr. President. God bless you. You know, the media act like this never happened, or it happened so long ago. Isn't it amazing? It didn't happen so long ago. It happened well less than 2 weeks ago. And they're on with Kamala Harris, and they're back to their dehumanizing of Trump. It's grotesque. I'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Levin here. It's hour 3. We will have Peter Navarro on shortly. He just got out of the gulag. Terrible miscarriage of justice. You know, America, there's a stupid debate going on. Can Kamala Harris choose Barack Milhouse Benito Obama as his running mate, as her running mate? I don't think she would. I don't think he brings that much to the ticket, but let's play along. Let's pretend. So what do? They get some of these kook law professors who say, well, of course. And then we get some real law professors who say, no. No, he cannot. Why? Well, because he served 8 years as president, and he can't serve more than another 2 years as president. Total of 10 years. Now, why did they do that? when the Constitution was amended, because the possibility exists that a vice president becomes president if something happens to the president. Maybe there's 2 years left on their term, and so they can run and serve 2 full terms in addition to those 2 years. Well, let's say that something happens to a president like FDR early in his 4th term, and now, of course, we have 2 terms because, well, 4 terms is ridiculous. Well, then they can run for 1 more term, and that's it. Not so terrible. So a total of 10 years. So Barack Obama's already served 8. So what's the big deal, you might ask? Well, let's look at the last sentence of the 12th Amendment to the Constitution. But no person constitutionally ineligible to the office of president shall be eligible to that of vice president of the United States. Now, when you look at other parts of the Constitution, the succession, if something happens to a president, is that the vice president becomes the president. That's their main duty, to sit around and wait, just in case. In addition to the 25th Amendment triggering that, which Kamala Harris refuses to do. But not to complicate the matter. So the question is this. Since Barack Obama already served 8 years as president and he could not fill out anything close to a full term for Kamala Harris should something happen to her, then he's not eligible. Well, Mark, he could serve the 2 years and then we could have an election. I said he's not eligible. It's not about what we could do to try and change it. It's not about what we could do to try and fix it. It's not about what we could do to alter the plain English, the black and white wording and letters in the 12th Amendment. No person constitutionally ineligible to the office of president shall be eligible to that of vice president of the United States. That is, if you cannot serve unequivocally, without conditions, as president of the United States, should something happen to the president of the United States, you're not eligible to be vice president. That's it. There's nothing complicated about it. But for the Democrats and their phony law professors and their phony legal analysts and all the rest of it, it's never that's it. The 14th Amendment doesn't say what it says. And so they try and ban Trump from the ballot. The 14th Amendment doesn't give power to the president to pervert the power of the purse and allow him and him alone to raise the debt ceiling. But they argue that maybe it does. No, it doesn't. Well, maybe it does. Kamala Harris is running around and she's saying, I'm going to outlaw assault weapons. They don't even know what that means. There's no such thing as an assault weapon. You go into a gun store and say, may I buy an assault weapon? They're going to look at you and say, what are you, some kind of a clown? You sound like Kamala Harris. There is no assault weapon. A frying pan can be an assault weapon. That's not describing. That's not a description of anything. Or it's a description of everything. Ignoramus, may I say. The language in the Constitution is clear. Barack Obama cannot serve as vice president because he cannot serve a full term as president again. And that's the test. The Democrats don't care. Let us recall something. This is very, very important. Let's put things in context. Let's step back. We've talked about how they stole the primary results from their own voters. We've talked about how they have prevented any kind of convention, open convention challenge where any other candidates even have a shot. Their media are even saying, if you do that, you're going to be a racist, a misogynist, and a sexist, and you're going to destroy yourself. We have the Congressional Black Caucus and others who are saying, you better not go around her for obvious reasons, and things like that. But it's okay if you destroy the electoral process. That's okay. You make a mockery out of it. That's okay. And you have a nominee, a putative nominee, in Kamala Harris, who never received a single vote in any primary for president of the United States. Not in 2016, and not this time. And she's going to be a nominee? Well, there's no special circumstances. They lied about Biden, then they broomed him. Now they've changed, so she will be the nominee. No Democrat gets to vote. No Democrat has a say outside of those who are in control in Washington, the ruling class. And people will defend this. I saw them on TV today. You know, they have the same rules. They didn't change the rules. You literally have liberal Democrats as hosts and co-hosts, as contributors, as guests, defending this. It's not a big deal. It's okay. Oh, okay. No, it's okay. Oh, okay. And then you have them saying, yes, Barack Obama could serve as vice president. No, he can't. Yes, he can. No, he can't. Does it say he can't? Yes, it does. But it doesn't matter. It's not a complicated question. Now, ask yourself a different question. Why would they even try it? Let's say they wanted to do it. Why would they try it? Because they have no respect for the Constitution. What do you mean? Ladies and gentlemen, for the last 4 years, they've told us that the Constitution is illegitimate. They've told us that the people who wrote it, adopted it, the people who ratified it, were mostly slave owners to enshrine a white supremacist society. They have no respect at all for the Constitution, which isn't based in a white supremacist society. It's based on arguments and thoughts from Aristotle to Cicero, from Locke, Montesquieu, and so many others. Ancient philosophers, the Judeo-Christian belief and principles and value systems. But it doesn't matter because they don't want a constitutional republic. They don't believe in a constitutional republic. The 1619 Project is an anti-1776 project. Oh, Project 2025? No. Project 1619. That's the problem. And so they're always looking for ways out. Oh, Donald Trump is a convicted felon. Yeah. If you violate the First Amendment, free speech, if you violate the Second Amendment, if you violate, not the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, if you violate the Sixth Amendment and the Eighth Amendment and the 14th Amendment, yeah, he's a convicted felon, yeah. You have all the protections that you have in a Putin courtroom. And they're waving this around. They're happy with their Star Chamber results. They're happy with their Banana Republic results. They're telling you, look, we convicted him. He's a convicted felon. We have our Soros prosecutor. We have our Biden acting state judge. Look what we've done. Now, Madam Prosecutor. I'm a prosecutor running against a convicted felon. Oh, that sounds great. They always plan this, remember? Not that she'd be doing it, but Biden would, and he started it. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
It's a pleasure and an honor to have Peter Navarro with us. His book is The New MAGA Deal. Mr. Producer, let's find it and let's link to it from Amazon.com on all our platforms, please. The New MAGA Deal, the unofficial deplorables guide to Donald Trump's 2024 policy platform. Peter Navarro, first of all, welcome. And then I want to ask you a question.
Always an honor to be with the great one. It's funny, you were actually on television in prison on the weekend, so for whatever reason, your coverage is broad and wide. So even the inmates found your show important.
Wait a minute. So the inmates are watching my show. You know what's interesting about that? Some of them have contacted me over the years. One of them I'm very friendly with, who's a good guy. Isn't that interesting, Peter?
Well, I went to prison over a constitutional issue. First person ever charged with the crime. I'm standing up for executive privilege, constitutional separation of powers. It was like a unicorn in there, but there's a lot of legal issues, I think, and you were in the Justice Department, and, for some reason, they love your show, and I think you are universal, my brother. I just wanted to share that with you.
That's
I see your face there. I go, hey, I know that guy.
Let me ask you this, because the audience will tell us, if you can, before we get into your book and so, what was your experience in there?
I went in there and I had immediate street cred for two reasons. First of all, Donald Trump, they love Trump because he passed something called the First Step Act, which is a major piece of prison reform legislation. They hate Biden and the Biden administration because Biden is not enforcing the First Step Act. So there's a natural affinity for Trump folks, but it was kind of funny in a way. The fact that I was in prison for refusing to testify before Congress, there's not exactly moral equivalence there, but the fact that I had the courage to stand up for my convictions and not bend to the government's will. Therefore, I wasn't a snitch in their world, and I was a stand-up guy. But what I wound up doing, Mark, in prison, interestingly enough, is just they can't jail you if your mind and body and heart and spirit is free. And I tried to focus on that. There were a few hours a day. I was a prisoner. I was in lockdown. You had to do counts. They made you do this and that and the other thing. But mostly, I tried to just stay focused on the mission, which is getting Trump elected. And also, when I was in prison, I wound up over the course of 120 days helping many of the inmates with a wide variety of their problems. So it was like being at war, and that was my platoon. Well, they're not my friends. There's bad people that did bad things. There's good people that did bad things. And I came out 120 days later having a much better understanding of the criminal justice system, which is in shambles from just about everything I went through, Mark. I mean, look, my message at the Republican National Convention, I don't know if you saw the speech.
I did.
But it was a simple tagline: if we don't control our government, all three branches of our government, their government will control us. And what I explained to them, I'll explain to your audience, is that it took all three branches of government controlled by Democrats to put me in prison. It was the House of Representatives under Pelosi held me in contempt for honoring privilege and defending constitutional separation of powers. Garland, the Democrat Attorney General, prosecuted me for a crime which the Department of Justice itself said for more than 50 years wasn't. It was my duty to refuse to testify based on separation of powers. And then, Mark, the judge situation in this country, these are politicians in black robes.
They're awful.
I didn't have a prayer, just like Trump didn't have a prayer. I got this guy, Ahmed Maida, just like Juan Marchand in Manhattan, stripped me of every possible defense, threw me to a woke D.C. jury, an inevitable verdict. And look, you know and I know, you watched this happen. They put me in jail before my appeal could get heard. And you know, Mark, I've got a very good chance that the Supreme Court will dismiss my case because I am right on the law. Mm-hmm. And so, I went to prison so you won't have to. That was a tagline. And what I want people to understand is, like, if they can put me in prison, Bannon in prison, and they try to put Trump in prison, they can come for anybody, Mark, if they control the government.
Isn't it amazing, Peter Navarro, that the Attorney General defied a subpoena, was held in contempt, and won't prosecute himself? So, in other words, he makes an exception for not complying with Congress, and the exception is himself.
The hypocrisy, I mean, it's stunning. There was a judge who pointed that out. They said there's a guy sitting in prison, meaning me, and you guys are hiding behind executive privilege. I mean, the reality is that Congress does not have the authority under the Constitution to subpoena and force executive branch officials in the White House, at least. I'm not sure about Robert Hur, but in the White House. And I got prosecuted for a crime that never has been a crime and never will be a crime. It's really important, Mark, for the Supreme Court to take this case. And it's with the appeals court now. I'm just writing that one off because it's 11 Democrats and 4 working Republicans on it. And, it's like that's part of the problem we have in this country, Mark. The Senate confirms these appointments for judges, and they're nothing but politicians in robes. I fear for our justice system. I know you spent a lot of time in the Department of Justice, but this ain't working, Mark.
No, I wrote a book called Men in
Black,
Black, and it's all about the judiciary and all about how these are politicians or ideologues in robes, and it's especially so with the Obama and Biden appointees, but also people need to understand. Let me explain this. The way a person becomes a federal district judge typically is it's a compromise between, let's say, the Reagan administration or the Trump administration and the Democrats. They don't do this on the appellate level or the Supreme Court level, but for trial judges, about 1,000 of these people. And so they'll say, oh, that's a Trump judge. Yeah, Trump nominated that person, but Trump may have nominated that person at the behest of a Democrat senator in New York in order to get 2 others on the court, district court, let's say. They had to say, okay, you take my 2 and I'll take your 1. This kind of horse trading goes on all the time.
Yeah.
So that's why when people say, I can't believe a Trump judge threw the book at that guy, it's not necessarily a Trump judge. It may have had to be a Trump compromise in order to get 2 other judges. That's not the way it works at the circuit level or the Supreme Court level. Peter, I don't want to forget about the new MAGA deal. So when we come back, I want to dig into this so people can understand where you're coming from. Yeah?
Yeah, no, the new MAGA deal, it's the unofficial deplorables guide to the Trump 2024 platform. I'll tell you why when we come back from the break. I wrote it, but it's a really important weapon to use to win that November election.
All right, let's get this book up, Mr. Producer, on all our websites, please. Link it to Amazon.com, and let's do that during the break so people have easy access to it. You're listening to Peter Navarro. The book is The New MAGA Deal, the unofficial deplorables guide to Donald Trump's 2024 policy platform. This man actually served, in my humble opinion, as a political prisoner. It's absolutely disgusting. I'll be right back.
Levin, the thunder on the right. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
His name is Peter Navarro. He's my friend. He's a good man, smart man, very close to President Trump. The book is The New MAGA Deal, the unofficial deplorables guide to Donald Trump's 2024 policy platform. You can go to any of my social sites now. We link to it. You can go to Amazon.com directly and get a copy. I would encourage you to do that, please. Peter Navarro, give us the guts of this book.
2 missions here with this book. Number one, and I think this election needs to be a policy-oriented election, 37 chapters that go soup to nuts that explain 100 actions, Mark, in 100 days. Donald Trump's going to hit the ground running, and it goes on everything from the economy, inflation, border security, national security issues with communist China, all the way down to the social issues that have to do with transgender destruction of women's sports and the indoctrination of our kids in K through 12. But I think the most important contribution of the new MAGA deal, Mark, is to explain in plain terms what the Make America Great Again movement is. If you remember in 22 in the congressional races, right up to today, the Democrats are attacking MAGA as something other than a mainstream movement. And I show in the new MAGA deal that MAGA is mainstream, Main Street, and America. And I go back with the president to 2016. I was the only one of only 3 people who stayed with him in the White House the whole time. And MAGA basically is 3 simple things. It's a strong manufacturing base achieved through fair trade, tariffs by American. It's a secure border, and it's an end to endless wars. If you remember, Mark, in 2016, among the 17 candidates for president on the Republican side, what distinguished Donald Trump was that iron MAGA triangle. Sure, we support tax cuts, less regulation, all of the traditional Republican values. But what Donald Trump did with MAGA is turn the party of Wall Street into the party of Main Street. Strong manufacturing base, secure borders, and endless wars. So what I'm hoping the new MAGA deal book will do is allow people to better understand what MAGA stands for and to use the book as a tool to educate the public and defend ourselves against this critique which we know is coming. The other sides, what do they have? They got Orange Man bad, they got abortion, and MAGA's a four-letter word. That's their campaign. So what the new MAGA deal book is designed to do is defend ourselves against that. And it's got chapters, importantly, not just for me. Rick Grinnell's got some stuff on national security. Mike Davis on the weaponization of government. Russ Vought, one of my co-guys in the White House. OMB director on the fiscal cliff we're going over. We got Brad Thayer, Jim Fennell on communist China. There's even a chapter on how China is trying to take over the moon. So 37 chapters, 100 actions in 100 days, and a full-throated defense of MAGA, which will help us in an election, which I hope is going to be policy-oriented election. We got to cut through the noise and basically show, as the polling does, that Trump's policies trump everything the White House is doing, sir.
No, it's 100%. How do you like how they're trying to remake Kamala Harris? And she's a radical, isn't she? She is as radical as they come. She ran on Medicare for all, open borders, slash the cops. She funded and promoted an organization that let killers and other criminals out. And so, I mean, she is way out there, isn't she?
She is way out there. But the thing that I love wrapping around her neck like an anchor to make her sink with is, Mark, you remember, your audience knows, the one significant thing that Joe Biden asked her to do in 4 years. It was only one thing. Sent her down in 2021 to do the border. She put her nose up in the air and with her pantsuit on like she loves to do, smelled the stench coming across the Rio Grande River, turned tail, got in Air Force Two, went back to the White House, and 8 million illegal aliens, murderers, rapists, communist Chinese spies, Islamic terrorists, drug cartels, sex traffickers, and an army of illiterate illegal aliens flooding our labor markets, disrupting this country in ways which we're going to feel for a decade unless Donald Trump gets back in and begins those mass deportations. That's on Kamala Harris. And I was actually looking forward to J.D. Vance debating Kamala Harris because if Donald Trump had told J.D. Vance, Mr. Vice President, go down and secure that border, you know damn well that J.D. Vance would have done that, sir, yes, sir, and got it accomplished. And so she's got nothing on her resume other than woke rhetoric, Mark. I mean, she's dangerous. And by the way, in prison, they love Donald Trump. They hate Kamala Harris. She was a DA. All she was known for was putting young, proud black men in prison for selling nickel bags on the streets of Oakland and laughing about it. So she's woke, she's bad, she's wrong, but ultimately we're not running against Kamala Harris. We're running against ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, the Washington Post, the New York Times, and that corporate media, which, as you said just a few minutes ago, was going to try to create a new narrative and a fiction about who this person is. And it's going to be hard for us to fight back, but thank God for the great one. Shows like yours, you will expose her for the woke person she is.
Well, Peter, you are fantastic. I hope everybody in the audience grabs a copy of the new MAGA deal, the unofficial deplorables guide to Donald Trump's 2024 policy platform. It's a brilliant book. And let me ask you a question. There you are, you're sitting in prison, and you got 120 days. That was the sentence and so forth. How did you keep your patriotism when you see what was done to you? How did you keep your patriotism?
Yeah. Well, look, I believe in America. One of my taglines at the Republican National Convention there was, if we don't control our government, the people's government, their government will control us. And what we've got now is a situation, Mark, where the Democrat elites have taken the Democrat Party in a radical direction. A lot of Democrats are disengaged from, disgusted by, or disenfranchised from that party. And I know that this country is the greatest country in the world, but it's our country. It's the people's country, the people's house. We've got to get it back. And frankly, Mark, we've lost it. They controlled all three governments, branches of government, legislative, executive, judicial, and they put me in prison. They put Steve Bannon in prison. They want to put Donald Trump in prison. They want to put school board people who come up before the school board and complain about woke curricula.
Pro-lifers.
Catholics in prison. And that, I'm a patriot. We fight. We're going to get our country back. If we lose this election, Mark, we lose this country. Full stop.
Yeah, and I think that's why you just saw what was the greatest act of anti-democracy of any modern political party by the Democrat Party that just stole the election from its primary voters. And then, rather than having an open convention, they are installing Kamala Harris, which means she will be their nominee without ever receiving a single vote for president, whether in 2016 or this time around. It's remarkable. It's remarkable how they defend this. The same people who've lied to us, who've deceived us, are lying to us and deceiving us again. Peter Navarro, God bless you. Enjoy freedom. Enjoy your life. You shouldn't have had to go through what you went through. It's absolutely appalling. But history will remember you. You see, history will remember you.
I hope history remembers when I win at the Supreme Court and defend executive privilege and the constitutional separation of powers. If I lose that case, Mark, executive privilege is dead, constitutional separation of powers is shredded. I am honored, as always, to be on your show, and I do consider you a great friend, and we've got a fight ahead of us, brother.
Amen, Peter. You take care of yourself, and best to you and your family. I'm sorry you went through all this stuff. Take care of yourself. The book is The New MAGA Deal, The Unofficial Deplorables Guide to Donald Trump's 2024 Policy Platform. It's easiest. Just go to Amazon.com and order it. Or you can get a copy if you happen to be poking around on the internet, on any of my social sites. You can grab a copy there. Believe it or not, I knew. Believe that. Before I come on the air tomorrow evening, it is my intention, and that of my family, to go to Capitol Hill and sit in the audience and listen and watch who is one of the greatest men of our time, Benjamin Netanyahu, give a speech to his nation, to our nation, and to the world. We don't know what to expect. We do know that there will be thousands of insurrectionists. They won't be called that, but that's precisely what they are. Thousands of anti-Semites, Islamists. These are not nice people. So we don't know what to expect. But we're not going to allow them to chase us off. And I will report to you fully tomorrow evening on what actually takes place. But the fact that the vice president, who's the president of the Senate, will not be filling that chair when he speaks, and that the second in line chose not to fill the chair, but that a retiring senator from the state of Maryland will be filling the chair for the Democrats, is a disgrace. An absolute disgrace. The message it sends to the terrorists in Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, the message it sends to terrorists who are no doubt in our own country, plotting and scheming with our open borders, the message it sends throughout the world. Kamala Harris, her message, despite her Jewish husband, is horrendous. It's unconscionable. Oh, but don't worry, she'll meet with Netanyahu in person later. Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't even soft anti-Semitism anymore. It's hardcore. It's as hardcore as it's ever been in this country. And she has said things and done things in the last 9 months that underscore who she really is. And her stepdaughter and her husband. And I don't expect MSNBC or CNN. I don't expect Mediaite. I don't expect the New York Times or the Washington Post or any of the networks to say a damn thing about it. Not a thing. But her record, the things she has said and what she's doing today, demonstrates that she is thrown in with Tlaib, with Omar, with AOC, with Cori Bush and all the rest. And she's thrown in with CARE. And she's thrown in with the River to the Sea crowd. And she's thrown in with that entity, with that kind of thinking. She's no bright light. She's no fresh voice. She's a throwback. She's a throwback who's protected by the media. It's absolutely unconscionable and immoral what's taking place in this country. And she is horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
So, I and members of my family will be at the Netanyahu speech at the Capitol building tomorrow. And, of course, the President of the Senate, the Vice President of the United States, who wants to be your president, has decided that she will not go. She's boycotting the Prime Minister of Israel. I want to underscore that. She's boycotting the Prime Minister of Israel. Many Democrats in the House and Senate are boycotting the Prime Minister of Israel. The Democrat Party is now on the other side. On the other side. Now, Donald Trump is going to be meeting with Netanyahu at Mar-a-Lago. It was set for Thursday, but Netanyahu asked if he could move it to Friday, and President Trump said yes. So President Trump is meeting with the Prime Minister of Israel. His installed opponent is not even willing to sit in her chair to listen to Netanyahu give a speech. That should say it all. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers. We salute our brothers and sisters in Ukraine and in Israel. And most of all, you red-blooded American citizens. God bless each and every one of you. I'm so thankful for our special relationship. And I will see you tomorrow, come hell or high water. Take care.